Yeah, commodity trading advisor. You're sitting there looking at this. It's so big. It's like an elephant in the living room. It's hard to even discuss. It's like the simplest things. A lot of people can't even grasp it. But you said it, and you know it's funny. I'll have the CEO of Taurus Firearms on, the fourth largest gun manufacturer, and I'll say, Mr. Morrison, are you aware that the United Nations is taking over the gun manufacturers, and that this UN, that this attack on the Second Amendment is from the UN? He goes, yes, I've been in State Department meetings. I thought he would laugh at me. This is a major CEO of a $100 billion company. He says, Alex, he says, it's absolutely amazing. He said, they're coming in, and I've been at tables with the UN at the State Department with other CEOs, and they say, we're shutting down the gun manufacturers. Either you join us and sell out to us, or your business is gone. It's all over for you. Andrew Cuomo of HUD threatening him, threatening all these other CEOs. He said it was organized crime. He said he thought he was in Nazi Germany. Mm-hmm. Then you talk about how in 1946, 1945, same year the UN is set up in this country runs the New World Order. It's not coming after us. We are it. We're the slaves right inside Rome. That they set up the 1313 patch out of Chicago, same year as they set up the UN, to formalize and standardize the National Association of Counties, the National Association of Cities, the National Association of Governors.
And in 46, they created the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report.
And then they created the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. So it looks normal. It looks standard. Hey, everybody's doing it. And then they go in and buy up all the corporations with our tax money and build their own empires and control it. You know, you have the communism and the socialism publicly being funded by the Rockefellers to consolidate power overseas, where they couldn't take people down, where monarchies wouldn't play ball with them. I mean, it's the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again, and now it's all coming together. It's all coming down. You talked about how you crunched the numbers of the states with the highest tax rates, the biggest governments, the biggest surpluses, with gun laws. Tell the viewers about that.
About 4 years ago, I did a little chart comparison. I looked at states with the least stringent gun laws, and I looked at the states with the most oppressive gun laws. I made a chart, least at one end, most oppressive on the other end. I then looked at the states with the most taxes, fines, and fees levied per populace, and the state with the least taxes, fines, and fees levied. Put them in order, made a chart. Well, guess what? If you put the charts back to back, an exact parallel. The more taxes, fines, and fees extorted from the populace, the most oppressive gun laws possible. The least amount of taxes, fines, and fees extorted from the populace in a state, the most lax on the gun laws. Exact parallel.
Elaborate on that.
Well, if you go into a state where, like Vermont or Montana, very low taxation, least oppressive, even though they're catching up with everybody else, they had very lax gun laws. If you go into a state like New Jersey, where the public is being extorted from any which angle and shape and form from all areas of government, city, county, and state, and the police and the judicial, maximum fines. You have the most stringent gun laws possible in this country.
So it's simple. With financial slavery, with total governmental/private fraud in basic fascist collusion, with this type of development, you're going to have a disarmed population. Hence, Hitler was for gun control. Stalin was for gun control. Mao, they disarmed the slaves. Hence, the United Nations is for gun control, because it was founded by the very banking interests that now run this nation, that run this world, openly funded by them, the same people that set up Patch 1313 in Chicago to start the National Association of Counties, the National Association of Cities, of governors, of mayors, of county commissioners, to standardize the policies.
And here's a very dangerous point, Alex. Being that they have already accomplished control and ownership of the wealth of this country from the public now becomes a liability. So it is in their interest right now to eliminate a good chunk of the public. Because they now own the wealth. They control the wealth of this country.
I was on some of the financial sites, Morgan Stanley, Dean Witter, and others this weekend doing research on that. And they have composite indexes on there, what the fastest growing part of the economy is. Until a month and a half ago, it was still tech stocks, the internet. Number 2 had always been prison industry. Walter, it's now number 1. They're building prisons everywhere. They're militarizing the police.
If you look at the prison industry and the court system, it is the most profitable corporation in this country. The court system and the prison system generates more money than 10 of the largest Fortune 500 companies in this country.
Put together. And that's another public number. I mean, folks, the fact is they have convinced you that the government's in trouble, the state, the local, the water district. They need more money. They need more regulations. They need more taxes because they're bankrupt. When in truth, they own 78% of Xerox, 60% of Motorola, every major traded company, all of the Dow 30. You've looked at the Dow 30. What percentage of the Dow 30 in the aggregate do state and city and federal agencies own?
You're talking, if you look on an individual basis, stock by stock, composite government wealth right now is the market. We're talking probably about in excess of 70% of the ownership is controlled by composite government funds. The public is insignificant in the marketplace.
And you looked, and to use a case point example, the city of Manhattan. You've got those numbers there. I know you did today on the radio, and I, after the show, went and actually checked it out. It's right there. They brag about this. In 1989 or 1990, you looked at Manhattan, not just states with hundreds of billions. What did Manhattan have, the city of Manhattan?
On my progression, after looking at the state of New Jersey, I looked at the state of New York. And the state of New York had approximately $535 billion. And then I got the city of Manhattan's report, which covered the boroughs, Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, and so forth. They had $1.2 trillion, more than the entire state had on their books.
And that's in cream. That's in private investments.
And also, a couple of years later, Manhattan was crying poverty and had a tax increase.
And then you look at the
bailed out by the feds, supposedly.
And you look at the so-called. Let's use another example for folks. Let's throw it all in their face. Orange County.
Orange County. You had a couple of slap-happy investment managers who were playing around with derivatives and got their fingers burnt. They lost $1.3 billion of the money.
Wow, a county just with derivatives, the most speculatory, dangerous thing in the market. Just $1.3 billion, just a county.
The derivative market, as said by Alex Greenspan several months back, he said he was concerned being that the derivative market was up to $80 trillion. And the government is the primary player in the derivative market. But Orange County attracted all of this attention. Now, one person happened to stumble across Orange County's comprehensive annual financial report. And he looked and he saw that they had $16 billion in profitable investments. They were only talking about their losing transaction.
But they couldn't control the media on that. It was out for a while that they lost $1.3 billion in a very speculative area of the market. But they had to have a tax increase and almost went bankrupt. So the people had to pay more, almost like that was done on purpose when they really had tens of billions of extra that was profitable in the market.
There's an economist by the name, and he owns a bank, Anthony Hargis, out in California. He looks at comprehensive annual financial reports, determines that local government's cash position, and determines how long could they operate, existing from their existing cash without charging one nickel in taxes, fines, or fees. Now, in Orange County's case, when they were crying bankruptcy, they could have gone on for another 11.9 years, performing the exact same services without taxing one nickel before they ran out of cash.
And that's not taking into account if they invested the tens of billions of surplus dollars in that one county and then took the surplus of that and reinvested it. And if they didn't do that, they could have taken it and paid dividends, that's checks, to the property owners.
Well, the bottom line, to cut to the chase, is if the public at this point in time unifies with basic comprehension, if you capture 10% of the population with basic comprehension, you can administratively restructure government at this point in time to phase out all forced taxation in this country.
Well, Walter, I want to stop you. I want to get to that a little bit later because for people that have just joined us, the audience gets much larger.